Sounds good.
We are talking about more Pinterest mistakes today, Jana. We see lots of these, don't we?
We do.
Little,
Pinterest is like its own beast, you know? So a lot of people unfortunately approach it not really knowing how it's different and what the intricacies are. And so it's really normal in this space to see a lot of people making mistakes out of the gate, but nothing that can't be fixed.
yeah. And I mean, you're going to make mistakes as you start anything new, whether it's a hobby or a marketing strategy
True
or
that.
really like anything that you do in your business or your life. It's okay to make mistakes.
Yep.
And if you want to avoid making some of those mistakes, that is going to be the topic of today's conversation. Is Pinterest mistakes. We have talked about prior in another episode, and I've talked about in other videos on this channel, additional Pinterest mistakes, and we try not to be repetitive. So these are actually new mistakes that you may not be even aware of. So
Right.
Jana, why don't you take it away?
Kick us off. We're gonna do like we're gonna share some mistakes. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And I just want to make a public service announcement that I am wearing a shirt. It just is the same color as my skin. With my shoulders, it's just kind of funny. I was looking at myself thinking, hmm. So yeah, I'm wearing a shirt. Just want everyone to know. Okay. All right. So all of that to be said, all right, where do I want to start? Let's see. Um, sorry. Okay.
Oh,
Hmm. So there are a lot of different kinds of like things that we could kind of point to, but one of the things that I feel like I see a lot when I'm browsing through Pinterest itself, just looking whether
mhm.
it's for my own, research or exploration on my personal account or my own research and exploration on my business account. Um, I feel like I see a lot of text overlay that is really boring or doesn't grab me, right? And that's, I think, a really big mistake and a huge missed opportunity. And it's almost like if you think about Pinterest a little bit like a funnel, that pin text overlay, the words that you put on your pin graphic are like the tippy top of that funnel because people are scrolling through Pinterest. They're usually scrolling pretty quickly. And your pin has to be able to quickly stand out to them, let them know that there's something relevant there. And also, they have to be able to process it really quickly because it's like they're scrolling by. You know what I mean? Like they have to, you can't have people having to think too much, having their brains have to work too much. And so, I feel like there's a lot of different ways that this kind of shows up in terms of things that we need to do a little differently to make sure that our pins are doing their jobs. But in this case, my thought is, or my first thought is that your text needs to be really highly relevant for your ideal audience. You need to think about it like a headline, like something that's going to stop the scroll. What would you use for a subject line for an email that you really wanted opened? What would you use for a headline on a social media post, right? We need something that's highly relevant. And so I'm going to give you an example of like what you might see
Mhm.
and how we might switch it around to make sure it's highly relevant for the person whose attention you're trying to grab, right?
Yep.
So I have seen pins, for example, from dating coaches. I work with a lot of coaches and course creators and service-based businesses, so I look for those that say things like why you should try dating online. Or, we see a lot of Pinterest managers who are just getting started who'll say like why you need Pinterest for your business. Like that's the title. And they want us to click on that thing to go read, their reasons why you need to try dating online. Or
Yep.
they want us to go over and click, why you really need to hire somebody to help you set up your Pinterest and to manage your Pinterest. But those things don't really grab us in the way that we think they're going to when we put them on our text overlay. So instead, something like getting really down to like the granular nitty gritty, this is just like a messaging thing, basically, and saying like, um, so instead of why you should try dating online or something like why your dating mindset is keeping you from meeting someone, those are just like things just aren't going to grab people's attention, in my opinion. Think about it like, can't find anyone to date online, what to do now? Like it's the same kind of concept, but you're really jumping in on like a specific moment or a specific thing that they are experiencing or something that's going on in their lives or in their brains. You're almost like joining the conversation that they're having where they're thinking, what's the problem? Well, I can't find anyone to date
Mhm.
online. That's the problem they think they're having. They don't think they're having a problem with dating mindset. They think they're having a problem with not being able to find anyone to date online, right?
Yep.
Or what to do when the dating pool is trash. Because think about the words that they're using. You may not agree that the dating pool is trash as a dating coach, but
Yeah.
those are the words that they are using with their friends when they're talking about what problems they're experiencing, right? So grabbing their attention with that kind of thing is what you really want to be doing. And the mistake that I see a lot of people making in terms of messaging is just putting really bland words on there. And like you're just all the work you're putting into your Pinterest, it's all going to be for naught if you don't know how to catch people's attention at the top of that funnel or at the beginning of that process where they're first seeing your pin in their feed.
Yep.
The difference between them clicking on it and engaging with it versus totally ignoring it and scrolling right by, in my opinion, a lot of that comes from the text overlay, the words we use on that Pinterest pin. So this is kind of a long one, but that was my mistake that I see a lot of. And it's a mistake people make in a lot of platforms, but I see it so much on Pinterest because I'm on Pinterest a lot.
Yeah.
And it's just very top of mind for me. So I wanted to kind of bring that out and let people know that, we need to focus on that. We need to think about that. We need to create pins with quality in mind, not just like putting some words on the page just to get it up there and get it pinned.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some of the ways that I like
Blah, blah, blah,
to
blah.
write pin titles and text overlays
Mhm.
is to actually do some research in spaces that are similar but not the same. So
Oh, fun.
I
Mhm.
like to review and watch content about how to write really click-worthy email subject lines or how to write YouTube titles. Because if you can get yourself out of your bubble and out of the way of it being Pinterest focused, you
Yep.
can actually generate a little bit more creativity around what you're trying to do. So if you do feel like you're running up against a wall with writing these text overlays and you just feel like yours are like sleepy,
Kind of a yawn.
then yeah, maybe do a little bit of research in similar spaces. This can also help you in those other tasks as well
Mhm.
of writing better blog titles or YouTube titles or, thumbnails or whatever it is. So
Yep. Yep.
get out of your bubble and do a little bit of education around the topic and give it a
Yep.
test.
I love that. And having a couple of little kind of go-to places handy for when you're not feeling creative
Mhm.
is going to be a great idea, right? So I know in Pin Profit Academy, you teach some of those like different ways to develop those types of copy for all those different areas, including like the copy on the page.
Yep.
So that's a great place to go to get new ideas. I like going to magazines, like the magazine covers have like these little formats of things that you can kind of restyle for your own,
Yeah.
relevant um, scroll stopping text. But yeah, that's mistake number one that we're covering is just having like boring AF text on your pins.
And your pin titles, your pin titles and your text overlays, a lot of people actually will use the same thing in both places. And
Mhm.
if you're not maximizing both places, people are just going to keep going. There's
Mhm.
no reason for them unless they just are caught and, they see an image that's just really compelling or whatever.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, images
they're
can be compelling.
they're
Yep.
going to move right on past. So yeah, doing a little
Yeah.
bit of work on figuring out how to write compelling copy is going to do nothing but benefit your business in the long run.
Yeah, for sure. And I think one of the reasons why I focus so much on the copy on the pins is because working with my coaches, my self-improvement coaches and health coaches especially, we don't have this, we have a kind of a unique challenge on Pinterest in the sense that we don't have a physical product that we've photographed that's going to be the pin image that's going to stop someone and be like, I want that. That would
And
go
most
really well in my bathroom. So we need to, we're using a lot of lifestyle images, but those can kind of blend into the background. So using that pin copy to our advantage is really the way we're going to stop the scroll. We want to have good images, but the images aren't really, in my opinion, what stops the scroll. The message on the pin is the words.
Yeah, and a lot of the people actually in my academy are not physical product sellers either. And in a lot of cases they sell digital products or they're content creators. And then the other bulk of my audience are Pinterest VAs.
Mhm.
And then the backfill is, product sellers or whatever. So we definitely have a lot of people who struggle with that concept of writing pin titles
Yeah.
and text overlays.
Yep.
So
And they struggle with it, but they also really need to master it in order for to be successful. So,
yeah.
yeah, so I know that's why you have a lot of those resources. inside Pin Profit Academy. Yay.
Okay, so I'm gonna do a mistake now, and my mistakes are more focused on, at least today, they're more focused on workflow. My main mistake for today is actually thinking paying for a scheduler is gonna solve all your problems with consistently pinning on Pinterest. Oh, well, if I get Tailwind, which I adore, by the way, and I use it, I pay for it myself. Um, it's gonna solve all my woes. I can just like repeat schedule all of my pins and that's just gonna do the thing. But at the end of the day, that's actually not what's getting you further ahead or keeping you consistent. A solid workflow is. So if you are going to invest and pay for a tool, you really need to have a workflow that is actually feeding that tool and allowing you to stay consistent and support your efforts of consistency, especially if consistently pinning is one of your goals on Pinterest. And a lot of people equate consistently pinning to pinning 3 to 5 times a day these days. So if you are wanting to pin multiple things a day, a scheduling tool really at the end of the day is not going to solve your problems. The native Pinterest scheduler could fill that hole. But if you don't have a workflow to stay consistent with what content you're creating, at what phase of marketing and distribution that content is in, if you've created pins for it, if you have assets to even create imagery for it, if you've done your keyword research for it, all of those things are backed up by having a really good workflow and system.
Yep.
And then the scheduling tool is what's going to help you distribute it. A scheduling tool is not going to take your business off live support when it comes to Pinterest marketing. So
Right.
that is my mistake number one.
Yeah, and I think that one, the root of that one comes from when you know, a few years ago I saw it more, but I still see it a little bit now where people say like, you know, I use Tailwind to like 10x my Pinterest, and it's like, not really. Did you really use Tailwind? Because it wasn't just Tailwind; it was you invested in Tailwind, and then because of that, you know, you were committed now to 10 pins a week, and it was easy for you to batch them all and get them scheduled over the next 30 days so that you could schedule all your pins for 30 days and set it and forget it and walk away, which is why we love Pinterest, or one of the reasons we love Pinterest. But if you don't just buy the scheduling tool and then magically it creates that momentum for you, you know, you have to do the work. And then I see where people will be like, Pinterest never worked for me. Like, you know, I pinned for like a whole 3 weeks and I even bought Tailwind. Like they thought they were just going to buy Tailwind and it was going to be like, yay, you bought Tailwind. Now it's working. And we love Tailwind, just to be clear, it like makes
I love
it
it.
possible to do a lot of things that you wouldn't be able to do otherwise. But it's not, you know, there's no silver bullet and Tailwind's not the silver bullet. Yeah.
No,
Mhm.
so the solution to this, because I don't want to just present you with mistakes and not give you a
Yep.
solution. The
Right.
solution is to use something as simple as like the Pinterest system, which is available inside the Academy, or you can purchase it as a one-off. I also have
Mhm.
recently created a Notion version of the same system. So if you're
Oh,
a
cool.
Notion pal, you know, there is that option available to you as well. So I don't like to just call out mistakes and not provide solutions. Another just really simple solution is to watch some of my workflow videos on YouTube and create your own.
Mhm.
So,
Yep. So I'm going to put in the notes for this in the description of this video when we're done.
mhm,
I'm going to put the Pin Profit Academy link because people can join Pin Profit Academy for how much per month?
37 per month, and
Yeah.
you can
So,
cancel anytime.
right. Cancel anytime. It's such a no-brainer. Like if you want access to all of these things and get to choose your solution, like
Mhm.
$37 a month, crazy value for that. But I'm also going to link the product that you were talking about,
The Pinterest system.
the Pinterest system product. And then also, we'll put at least a link or two to either a playlist or a couple of videos that
Mhm.
are workflow related, that are YouTube videos on this YouTube channel as well.
Yep, and I
Okay.
have those, and I'll get the links for them while we chat.
Okay,
Um,
perfect.
your next mistake, man.
Yes. Yeah, so I'm back to pin design. I don't know why, but I'm just like on a pin design
Hannah's
tear.
doing design today, and I'm doing workflow.
Yeah, it's funny how we ended up kind of on these like tracks. Okay, so this one drives me crazy. It's when you are using fonts that are hard for humans and hard for the Pinterest AI, the bots, the robots
Yeah.
to read. So these are kind of like two things that you need to be aware of, but it's like you solve it with one thing, one's very, very simple solution. So number one, again, back to the idea that humans are scrolling through their feed really fast. They need to very quickly be able to understand what your pen is about, know it's relevant for them to get them to stop. Otherwise, they'll keep scrolling. And so if
Yep.
you're using fonts that are too small to read, which so many people do on Pinterest, I mean, I have to say, at least I'd say 30 to 40% of pens that I see on Pinterest, the font is either too small to read, it's too light, there's not enough contrast between the background and the font. The human eye is just not drawn to it. It's not easy to read. So easy to fix this, guys. Just use big, bold fonts, and the AI, the Pinterest AI also can read that. And the AI uses what it sees in the words on your pen to help show it to the right people. That's part of what it considers in terms of like Pinterest SEO. So it's
Hmm.
really important, again, to make it readable for the AI as well. So it has to be readable for both the robots and the people. Um, and it's such an easy solution. Just make sure, like I said, that your fonts are big and bold. If you're going to use scripty font, and I personally would rather have you just completely not use scripty fonts at all on your Pinterest pins. But if you have one and you really want to use it because it's like your brand font and it's just something that you really want to be part of your brand, what you can do is you can actually use it, but don't use it on the keyword words, if that makes sense. So I'll give you an example, and I need my glasses for this. If your pin text overlay says, can't find anyone you want to date online, question mark, what to do now, then the word anyone could be in script in your fun script font. And people tend to think that because the script font is special in some way, that the keyword should be the thing that is in the script font. So the mistake here would be can't find anyone you want to date online, and you would do date online as the scripty font. But the problem is if the human eye can't read it well, they're not going to quickly know what it's about. And if the AI can't read it well, it's not going to understand that this is about dating online. So again, just pick a word in there if you absolutely insist on using your silly little scripty fonts. Sorry, your beautiful, perfectly branded, lovely scripty fonts. Then just choose only like one or two words that are not keywords. So again, can't find anyone you want to date online. Have the anyone word be the scripty font, but leave the date online in a nice big bold font so the human knows what it's about. The AI can categorize it and show it to more humans who are looking for that. So that's my mistake, is using fonts that are not easy to read, and a couple of very simple solutions. Number one, big bold fonts that are easy to read. Number two, if you insist on the scripty fonts, don't use the scripty fonts for the actual keywords.
Yeah.
Mistake, easy fix.
There
Boom.
is a reason why when you are seeing ads on Pinterest, why none of the ads use scripty font
Yeah,
from
because they're like, we're paying for this. We're not going to use
big,
something that's not going to work.
yeah, from bigger brands to medium brands. The only people that I see using scripty fonts as advertising on Pinterest are small business owners like myself, digital business owners like myself, who don't actually understand that that is probably hurting them. So if you're not seeing people using scripty fonts on ads, chances are you shouldn't, like, especially if you're not really good with design and you don't understand like the principles of design and understanding how people are perceiving that user experience and user the UX UI part of it, I just would avoid them
Yeah.
altogether. I do occasionally use scripty fonts in my own pins, but like you said, there's this is supporting text. It's like the best. And then Pinterest marketing schedulers are just in big bold letters.
Yep.
It's okay to use alternating colors as if you want your font to stand out from each other, like your text overlay, or use, regular and then a super bold
Yep.
to differentiate the bodies of text on your
Yeah.
on your
Those are, yeah, two good solutions. And I just want to point out you have like a little bonus tip in there right there, which is if you really want to know what's working for pen design, look at ads.
yeah.
Right? Because
Yeah.
ads have been tested, and like they probably tested like three or four different creatives and this one's working, and that's why they've put more money behind it and stuff. So it's a really hot little tip right there too.
Especially if you see the ad following you all the way around the platform.
Mm.
Not so much for ads that you might see one time, but I've been seeing this ad from Shopify a lot lately, and it's the
Mhm.
same image and it's in every single thing that I do on Pinterest. Like it
Hmm.
shows up. So I've obviously have a Shopify store, so I'm on their website.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily know that this ad is following me around for retargeting purposes because I am unsure.
Hmm.
However, I'm seeing it in the browse and the related. Every time I search for something, this pin is there. So I know that that pin must be working for them, but a lot of ads, we don't actually know if it's working for people or not. The big brands, though, are spending a ton of money on testing. And if you do see images like from Squarespace, they do it a lot. From right now, USAA is doing a lot of promoting on Pinterest, and they seem to be the same images. If you see the same images for a long period of time, consistently,
Hmm.
those are working. I know which pins work for Jenna Kutcher for her
Hmm.
ads because I
Yeah.
see them all the time, the same
Yep.
one. The only thing she's doing occasionally is changing the title.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
Yeah, interesting. Yep.
all
We
right.
um we really could talk more about ads in these lives. So if you're watching this live or if you're watching it, I can't see who's live. Heather can, but I can, but I don't look. Or if you are catching us on the replay later, leave a comment and let us know if you'd like to learn more about Pinterest ads in these lives because we can totally do that. Heather is a Pinterest ads expert. I know what questions to ask her to get all the juicy details out of her. So let us know if that's something you'd be interested in learning more about.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to mistake number three, I think, right? Are we at
Or
three? Oh, four. Sorry, number four.
yeah, mistake number four is similar to my workflow mistake. Let me take a quick drink.
Yeah.
Similar to my workflow mistake, and it's not organizing yourself, your assets, your content properly to actually support the consistency that you desire on Pinterest. So this actually is probably mistake like 3.5 because technically it's part of the workflow mistake, but people could create somewhat of a workflow for themselves and still not be organized. And what I'm talking about is simply organizing your Canva account and having folders that are full of all of the assets for each thing that you create
Hmm.
in your business. Just simply foldering your assets, making sure your Pinterest pins and your brand kit are uploaded to Canva. That way you can quickly add things and you're not searching around for all of this when you go to design. Another thing is simply having all of your content, whether it's blog posts, YouTube videos, podcast episodes, in a spreadsheet so you can
Yes.
see them. You can assign a promotion timeline and know when those episodes are going to be appropriate to promote, or if they're evergreen, just having a designation there of when you promoted it last. This is all covered in that Pinterest system, by the way, guys, if you guys are interested in that product. And then lastly, but certainly not least, is just like creating a plan every single month that you are going to work where you're going to create all of your pins.
Hmm.
So taking from the big list, making a much smaller list. That way you're not overwhelmed by the long list that you might have. I have like 250 pieces of content on my website, and that's not
Wow.
including all my funnels and my products and things I've added lately. A
Right.
lot of stuff that has been coming out of heatherfarris.com since 2017.
Hmm.
Um, if I were to look at my main list of blogs every week to try and make pins, I would be so overwhelmed.
Yep.
First, by the amount of content that needs to be updated. Second,
Oh,
by the amount of content I haven't made pins for in years.
yeah.
So what I like to do is make a pin plan. So I take and make a smaller spreadsheet every month of just
Hmm.
these URLs, and this is what we're focusing on.
Yep.
And then all of the other effort is backed up because I'm organized. My
Hmm.
assets are organized. My brand kit is in Canva. My designs are consistent and cohesive. So it's really quick for me
Ooh,
to be able to get pins out.
I love it. Sounds dreamy. Yeah, so if anyone wants that dreamy system, they can
Yeah,
swipe it basically by
honestly.
accessing your Pinterest system. So that's awesome. Yeah. Okay, that so again, just a reminder, that's going to be in our description of this video once we're done, because I'm going to add it once we're done.
A follow-up is from our chat. So a couple people
Mhm.
said, yes, we would like to hear about Pinterest ads. If you guys would specifically tell us in what way you'd like to learn about Pinterest ads, because I can talk about them. However, we need to know what you want to learn. Otherwise, we might not cover topics that you care about. So do you want beginner videos? Who are ads for? Like,
I feel like we're like good cop, bad cop. I'm like, tell us if you want information about ads, and you're like, thanks, but what do you want to know?
yeah, I
That
need to
coming
know
that coming
specifically.
from the woman who actually knows about ads, Heather. So she's like, okay, yeah, but what do you really want to know? There's a lot to know about ads.
Joanna says, loving the tips. She says, awesome tips. Kara says she's here for the first time. Welcome, Kara. So
Hi,
happy to
Kara.
have you here.
And hi, Joanne.
Tamisha's here, of course, and Della's here also.
Tamisha. Oh,
Welcome back,
Tamisha's always
ladies.
here. And Della, nice to see everybody or hear about you since Heather's watching the chat.
Tamisha says she just started creating pins for my guest podcasts. Um,
Oh, yeah.
at YouTube videos, I think the heart and YouTube videos after your last live. I love that, Tamisha, and I am interested to hear how that goes for you over time.
Cool.
Love it. By the way, my hair has gotten so long,
It
and
is
I
getting long again. It's
but
not as long as I've seen it. It's been longer.
feel like
What
I need to
happens?
chop it again.
Oh,
Um, okay. Those were the four main mistakes that we wanted to talk about today, but I do have a
yep.
bonus mistake if you'd be okay with me sharing it.
Of course. A bonus mistake. Bring it
A
on.
bonus mistake. My bonus mistake is really having the wrong mindset when it comes to Pinterest based on what you hear on the internet. So I am that like big sister that's going to cheer you on when you want to do something in your business and you want to try something new. I love that for you. I'm going to cheer you on. I'm going to do everything I can to support you. But you can't just say, oh, I hate it
And
here. It's nothing is working for me if you go into it with the wrong mindset. So, a couple of little things that you can do with your Pinterest mindset is think about it as something that's just supporting your business and you're parking your content there. You don't need to actively show up, have your makeup done, have actual real clothes on for the day in order to film or create content for Pinterest. You can just simply do it in the background of your business and park your content on the platform. And if you have no expectations of making $1 million or 10xing your Pinterest views or whatever, then you're going to be a lot more surprised and enjoy the process and the results when you do see those start to come. Because they will. If you are consistent, if you follow my workflow tips, if you follow Jana's design tips, you're going to see success on the platform over time, but it does take time.
yep,
So if you do see things on the internet like, oh, I got 10 million monthly views, like, who cares?
exactly.
What are those views
Exactly.
doing for you?
Right, right.
I
And
want to
and
know.
is it even true? And how long did
Right.
it take that person to get there? And are they 10 million views of their own pins, or did they just share a bunch of
Yeah.
other people's viral pins to get that number artificially inflated? Like, no.
Yeah.
No, 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 no.
So your Pinterest mindset is I am just going to have a strategy. I'm going to follow the strategy. I'm going to have a workflow. I'm going to do business as usual. And I'm going to share this content to Pinterest or my products to Pinterest. And we're going to see what happens. And
Yep.
over time, you're going to be thoroughly surprised. I believe it.
Yeah, agree. Yeah, there's I think when you say coming into it with the right mindset, really what you mean is coming into it with the right expectations. And it is so easy these days to have the wrong expectations of all marketing,
Yeah.
all online marketing. But I think on Pinterest, there's a special little flavor because it is a search engine, but people don't realize it's a search engine. And even when they do realize it's a search engine, they still don't really realize it's a search engine in the sense that they're expecting it to, work as fast or not even work as fast, but give them the same type of immediate gratification and those oxytocin, is it oxytocin? I think it is hits that we
Dopamine.
get, oh, dopamine hits. Yeah, that works. That we get from social media when people engage. The
Mhm.
thing about Pinterest that we love, one of the things, I always say this, one of the things we love about Pinterest is that we don't have to engage with people. And they don't really engage with us. And when they do, it's not like, a sin to like not comment back and things like that, which is great. We love that because you're just parking your content there. You're not creating, a whole nother social media hub and another inbox you have to check and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
But then people love that idea, but then they realize, or sometimes they don't even realize that what they're not going to get from it is that oxytocin, dopamine, whatever hits. They're not
Mhm.
going to get that immediate gratification. So you need to go into it knowing that, and knowing that that's one of the reasons why you don't want to watch the pot boil, right? And that's why I actually posted this on Threads the other day. Like, I don't even recommend the people who are starting Pinterest check their analytics at all for the
At
first six
all.
months. At all
No,
for the first 6 months. And I know, Heather, you are on
I
board with
say
that as
90
well.
days. Yeah. And in some
Yep.
cases longer. So
Yep.
yeah, I don't
And
even want you looking at them.
yep. Yep. I'm just making sure I don't have a bloody nose.
So no, you're all good for my end.
The internet is fake. What is it? What is it? Instagram is fake, y'all. And here are the real things I struggle with. I've been getting bloody noses and I don't want one to happen while we're on YouTube. Anyway, you're welcome everyone for oversharing. But yeah, so that's really the thing, is like going into it with the right expectations. And you're not saying not to look at the numbers ever, or not to expect results, or not to look for KPIs or whatever. Like, we're not saying that. We're business women. We know that we need to get something out of the effort we put in. But we're just saying that, like, 95% of people we know don't have the right expectations. And it's not your fault. But it's going to derail you if you come in with the wrong expectations and then you don't adjust them appropriately, and you stop basically doing what you would have needed to do to get there,
If you stop too
Um,
soon because you are expecting, 10 million monthly views and by just repurposing TikTok videos or whatever, or an influx in cash because you just have product that you need to offload. In fact, I've stopped taking e-commerce clients that indicate in their discovery calls that they need cash. It's a
yeah,
red flag. Red flag
yeah.
for me. I am not here to make you money
I'm
fast.
not
And
an ATM. Thank you.
no, and if you
Yeah.
think
Mhm.
going into a Pinterest marketing strategy that's going to happen in any sense of the word, it's
Mhm.
just not. And it's the same for Instagram. People just don't want to own
Of
up to the
course.
fact that it's not an ATM.
Well, and what happens on Instagram and Threads and any social media really is that people, even though they're not seeing the fast money based results, they're not going in. Even so, people go into Instagram thinking, oh, so and so says they made 10K just by posting on Instagram, so I'm going to do that. Okay, so they go in with that expectation. That's not going to happen, because it doesn't happen for 99.999% of people,
Yeah,
right? Either that person probably was either cherry picking their data, or maybe it's real, but you're not in that 0.001%, or you didn't have all the infrastructure that that person already had behind them when they did that. For whatever reason, you go in, we're talking Instagram here, right? That didn't
mhm.
happen, but even though that didn't happen, you're still loving it because you're still getting those little, you know, dopamine hits and
Somebody
the
shares your content, they like it,
right,
comment on
right.
it.
And you get people commenting saying things like, wow, that was a great tip. And they're asking you to do an Instagram live with them, and all those things. And that's great because it keeps you going. It keeps you moving
Yeah,
forward. Um, and then eventually you can see some of those results because you are still doing all the consistent things in the background with Instagram. So again, people come to Pinterest, they have those expectations because so and so on TikTok said, like, oh, Pinterest paid me, $6,000 in the last 2 days, and you can do it too. Start today, and by the end of the week, you'll be rich and whatever. And then you go over there, it doesn't work that way, right? And also you're not getting those like oxytocin and those dopamine hits. And so
yeah,
that's, I think, the dynamic that ends up with a lot of people just like not following through and not getting there. I remember one of my old business coaches, Sarah, sharing like with me like that old image or cartoon that some of us have seen, although Heather, you might be too young, but it's like this famous cartoon with this miner, and he's like in a hole in a mine, and he's like mining for like gold or diamonds or something, and he's like, you can see sort of like the cross section from the side, and he's like 2 inches away from like this big like cave that has all these diamonds, but he's been doing this for so long to get there, and then he just goes, you know what, this isn't working, and he leaves. But if he had
yeah.
just gone for like another 10 minutes, he would have gone through that 2 inches and gotten to those diamonds. So that's kind of like what I think of when I think of people who like start Pinterest, don't experience those hits of dopamine, and then aren't seeing the immediate results that some
Yeah.
Instagram or TikTok influencer promised that they would get, and they stop when, if they had just kept going, they had something amazing, for the world that would have caught on if they had just kept doing the real things that we teach people how to do, their real strategies, their real tactics.
Yes,
Okay.
I had a conversation actually earlier this week with, I think it was on Monday, with one of my members who purchased a really expensive Etsy coaching program, and they ended up creating a business on Etsy, like selling their products or whatever. I'm not going to call them out because they've done a really fabulous job over time. But they did use the knowledge they got in that program. I probably wouldn't have pushed them to buy that particular program, maybe do something a little bit more affordable to get started. And I still don't think they finally, like, they've paid off fully, like made their money back from the program. And then they're also in my academy, which is super affordable, $37 a month. Like, anyways, I had a conversation with him where they had some really big wins from Pinterest recently. So last fall, they created some new products, super cute, like super on trend. It's hot right now. It's been hot for a while. And they started getting from their Pinterest pins going mini viral for them, a sale a day, every single day from Pinterest.
Amazing. So good.
Yes. So from what they're implementing and learning and continuing like for months, not getting any sales and still like continuing to push
Continuing
content,
to
test things
do the
and
right, to do the thing and
test new
test and try new
products.
things. Yep.
Yeah, they have landed on a product that sells generally well and results that they were getting from Pinterest. So
Yep.
he booked this call because he wanted to know what else he could do.
Yeah.
And he wanted to see if there was anything in his Pinterest stats because some of his stats had just kind of like dipped off
Yep.
and their
Which is
sales had
normal.
dipped off. Like,
Okay.
what can I do to bring this back? So we had that conversation. I gave him some tips. He's trying some new things now. I'm hoping that they pick back up and start getting those sales every single day.
Is that a situation where you would recommend, we're totally off topic now, but is that a situation where you would potentially recommend ads?
Yeah, and he's actually one of the things that he wanted to talk about was the fact that he was running some ads. So
Okay.
set them up completely wrong. I walked him
Oh,
through how to set them up properly,
okay.
and they made those changes. Him and his wife made those changes, and now hopefully going forward, the ads will see better results.
And just to be clear, was he seeing those sales, those like one sale a day results organically before he started
Organically.
turning? Right. So I just want to make sure anyone who's listening
Mhm.
understands that happened organically. And then he was like, oh, good, I'm going to pour some fuel on this fire by running ads. But
Mhm.
when they ran the ads, they weren't really set up properly. So if they can get them set up properly, then maybe it can literally pour fuel on that already running organic fire and
Mhm.
increase the number
Generate
and
more.
speed at right, at which people are finding finding those ads essentially or finding
Yeah.
those pins. Okay.
Yeah.
Love
And
it.
I mean, all of this circles back around to, my student having that good mindset, being willing to test and try things out because they do have other income streams. This is like something they're trying to get off the ground to become a revenue source for them that's consistent. It's something they enjoy doing, but they do have other things that do pay their bills. So it's not like they're super reliant on this thing working, which is
Yep.
why they put so much effort and investing into this to make it work.
Mhm.
And they are seeing results. Now we just have to scale that up.
Yep.
And I do believe that will happen over time with other marketing efforts. Because right now they're just doing, the Etsy siloed platform and Pinterest.
Hmm.
So now the conversation needs to happen of, do I start a Shopify store? And that's the mindset I'm talking about. I'm seeing some results. It's going in the right direction. How can I make this even better?
Yep.
Or I'm not seeing results, but I know the product is validated because I'm getting sales. So how do I make it
Yep.
better?
Yep. Yep.
So if you can come at this platform with the right mindset, with the right expectations, and if you see people on the internet saying, Pinterest made me $30,000 because they're sharing those conversion insights numbers, the thing that I want you to say to yourself when you see these things is, that's great for them.
Hmm.
And then I want you to keep moving.
Yeah. 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 Hmm.
So,
That's inspiring. What do I need to do to start laying the groundwork now, the foundational things? And that's the type of thing too that when it comes to foundations, that's I think why you and I are both so passionate about teaching the foundations. You teach the
yeah.
foundations in Pin Profit Academy. You teach the foundations on this YouTube channel. I absolutely teach a very foundational strategy for content and high leverage content
Yeah.
because we see those big numbers. We see those people doing so well. I made this and this. Here are my conversion insights, whatnot. But a lot of the iceberg that's underneath that we don't see is all that foundational stuff that they already have set up. You have to set up those good foundations to get to the point where you have the ability to see those types of results that they're talking about. So,
All right. Well, we are actually off to go do some content planning right now for the coming weeks. So you're going to see a flush of lives hitting your subscription feed if you are a subscriber of the YouTube channel. If you're not a subscriber, that's okay too. You can come back to the channel a little later and
no, no,
subscribe.
it's not okay. They have to subscribe. No, I'm just kidding. You should be subscribed to Heather's YouTube channel.
You can subscribe or you don't have to. And you can click the notify me on the topics that you are interested in hearing more about in the coming weeks.
That's a good point. To be fair, if you want to cherry pick, you can do that too.
Yeah. So for those of you in the chat that said Pinterest ads might be a good topic, Joanna gave us some good feedback. I'd like to know who they are best for. Are there specific cases where they won't work? That's really great feedback, Joanna.
Yeah, that's great, Joanna. Thank you.
We will consider all of the above in our content planning session that we're going to run off and do right now. So I don't have a call to action for you at the moment other than come back and visit later and look at the description for the resources we're going to put there that we talked about today. And we hope to see you back next week.
Yeah, we're here every Wednesday at noon Eastern time.
Okay. We'll see you then. And we're out.